All right. We are gonna go going well and just kind of keep an eye on the chat and stuff for me, so that way I know that you can hear everything okay and that I'm not just talking to no one. It looks like there's already about 4 or 5 people that have jumped on. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate it. The goal is just to kind of get your mind off of all the news and staying home and ways to use video inside and outside of the classroom. I want to preface this by saying, this is based for mostly for teachers. I mean, just ideas how to use video in your classroom, but this could be applied to different things as well. This is not going to be a course on, the step by step on video production. That intro to video is actually going to happen on Wednesday, so you can come back here, have a fireside chat with TJ, and we can talk about the nitty gritty of like getting your first. So I have always called myself a lifelong learner helping lifelong learners because I'm always eager to learn new things. Last night I was studying web development, and then at the end of the night I picked up my guitar that I haven't picked up in forever, and watched some lessons. That I'm always thirsty for knowledge and skills, and I want to portray director of technology in the K-12 market. It started in 2010. So I did it for about 6 or 7 IT for many different districts in the state of Ohio. At one point, actually, the tech cord, which is kind of cool. I'm a photographer, blogger, and podcaster. So if you're looking for any of my work, you can check me out on Instagram, and that's at _ TJ Houston. I blog over at TJ Houston Podcasting Suites, but I might be picking that up again. So I'm using this being homebound. Kind of a reset. So I think I'm going to refire up the old Fit for the Road blog and podcast. I think it's important that you know how to get a hold of me. If you have any email is tj@tjhouston.com, and my phone number is connection. So if you guys do have any gear out to me, that same email is fine. That's my cell phone number. So if you're looking like, hey, TJ, I don't know what camera we really need in the classroom, or we need this do a live stream for our graduation, those kind. So why video? So I just wanted to start off with a couple things about YouTube. This is something that I found online, and it is people love watching videos on YouTube every day. So every day people watch 1 billion hours of videos on YouTube, and that's billions and billions of views. This is important, especially for students, because YouTube users prefer mobile over desktop. So more than 70% of the time that is actually spent on YouTube is from a mobile device. I know in my times as a tech coordinator, one of the discussions we had all the time was, do kids have computers at home? Do they have access? Tech not ubiquitous as we would like it to be, but one thing that YouTube's YouTube videos uploaded on a daily basis, 500 hours every minute. That is ridiculous to me. 500 hours of video content are uploaded every minute worldwide. So there's a ton of, this right here shows that video is important, and it's important for YouTube, obviously, because that's a social network, but it's also important for teaching those skills for your students. This is obvious. It's obvious medium, and it's best for us to do that and teach them in a responsible manner. So I wanted to kick off those kind of YouTube just to show you kind of how important video is. And what's really, really cool is right now the barrier to entry is lower than it has ever been. We all have cell phones, and that's a pretty broad statement, but I'm pretty confident that everybody that is on this stream has a cell phone. And on that cell phone, it's an amazing tool that allows you to educate when a time that you're homebound. You have a tool in your arsenal to still connect with your students, to journalism or all this fancy expensive equipment. You have what you need in your hand, and now you can fine tune that in the future. You can pick up a better microphone, you can pick up lighting as you get more and more confident. But one thing that is I tend to be an impulse buyer. So when I want to do something, I just go out and buy stuff all the time. And I think I'm more obsessed with like just the buying stuff more than I am the actual hobby. But that changed when I decided to pick up running. And what I did was I set up goals for 3 miles. I am going to give myself the opportunity to get a gym bag, and when I run 10 miles, then I'm going to get new gym shoes. And It's okay for it to look bad. It's okay that it's not the produced content that you see. A lot of the people on YouTube do this for a living, so don't think that you have to kind of be at that level. And I keep bringing up that's something that a lot of people can connect with. When we're talking about video, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to show what you're creating to the rest of the world. You can just use Google Drive to share out those videos so they're more private. You can mark videos private on YouTube so that way you don't have to worry about other people seeing them. So you don't have to. I'm just using YouTube as a, something that you can relate to or connect to. Where you put these videos, they can be in your LMS. So if you're using Schoology, Google Classroom, Blackboard, any of those tools, that's where those videos can live. Today we're just talking about kind of, like I said, I work as for business Pixel Connection in Avon, Ohio. Video is quickly becoming the de facto standard for communicating in this world. And even when I was in IT, virtual communication is super, super important. This morning we had a virtual meeting with our team at the store. When I was in IT, our teams were spread out all over the state, so we would get on and communicate that way. And now, we have this pandemic that's happening, so it's become more and more important that you guys, the teachers that are out there, are armed with the skills and tools necessary that allow you to communicate, but also the next generation, the students that you're teaching now are going to need to essential as well. So as you saw with how many videos are uploaded on YouTube, having that ability to communicate in the marketplace right now, to find somebody that is full on video who is able to do things like this, that's really hard to find. And I think as more and more generations are figured out, and there was this young kid who or 7, and he developed that first app, his first app in the App Store, and he was like the youngest kiddo to do that. We're seeing those stories every day. Generation that is creating content become. And third, I think video is a happy medium in which students can learn and be creative at the same time. So, the content that you're teaching, it's a great way for you to engage them. It's a great way for you to have the content, but then also allow them some creative latitude in order to tell those stories or interact with that content. And if we look back at the Bloom's taxonomy, I know this is used all the time. Right at the top is that create, and you build up to that. So remembering the content, understanding, applying, and analyzing, evaluate, and then create is just right there at the top. And that's where creative juices flowing. I'm not going to be able to cover every single idea, every different grade level, every different course, every different standard, every different state even. But I will tell you, I am here to help. So if you want to give me a call, that's my cell phone number. Shoot me a text and say, hey, can we get on a Google Hangout and, just talk about, I've really been struggling with getting ideas on how I can integrate this into my physics class or into my, Also, I want to get your mind around different ways that you can integrate video into your curriculum. Hey, how could I use video this lesson? Or I want to try something different. So how can I use video? I want video to be kind of front of mind as you're doing lesson planning. I want to show you different ways that they were talking about a certain writing style in English, and you worked with the science teacher in order this type of writing style. That it's the video kind of allows you to bring all these different areas together in order to bring kind of a whole group, that holistic angle to working together. And finally, I want to get you so excited about video that you sign up for Wednesday's webinar. So I'm hoping that you guys get all these ideas and you are chomping at the bit and you want to sign up for Wednesday's webinar, which is where we actually start talking about like shooting video. What are the rules of shooting video? What are some free tools to edit that video? Now that it's done, where do I put it? How do I export? What do all these numbers mean? And my goal is to get rid of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that might be around this idea of video, because I know what it's like to learn something new and then have to turn around and take students through that. So I know that is a big task, and let's get started. This is like the biggest one in my opinion, and that is vlogging. So vlogging stands for video log. It comes from the idea of like blogging or on YouTube and just watch. why are they watching these? So, why are they finding these things to be entertaining? And then from there, I want you to kind of ask yourself, where can I draw inspiration from this? So one of the vloggers that I follow is Casey Neistat, and I love the way that he tells stories. And when I did vlogging about 2 years ago, I tried it for like the first 2 weeks of like as a New Year's resolution. And he was one of my absolute favorite vloggers because his time lapses were amazing. He was in New York, and it was somewhere that I wasn't, or I didn't live. So it was just super interesting to me. So you have to do that with your students, find out kind of, what influences them or why because the idea of logging what you're doing or taking, documenting a journey is what vlogging is. You could vlog a science experiment where, your student is taking the audience kind of through step by step of what the experiment is, kind of step by step. I was actually talking to a science teacher about doing like kind of like an awards show, if you will. So the best science project or science, what is it called? The science competition. My mind is going blank. Science fair. So, you could do a video about science fair, but then have like an awards night where you guys show the best videos and kind of how they got to that point. Another thing you could do is vlog the day in the life of somebody. So let's say you have a career day coming up, or there's something that you're studying in whatever class it might be. Your students can do the day in the life of this person, whether that be a police, in order to create that video on what a day in life would look like. A day in the life of a historical figure. I think this one's super cool. So depending on whether it be like, let's say the Civil War, day in the life of Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee, those are going to look very different. And, putting a 2-minute video together where they have to talk about like on the day in which the treaty was signed, this is that day. Same thing with things like September 11th. Like, let's say you're in New York and you vlog about that. That's going to be very different than, it could be even Cleveland, Ohio, because the plane flew over. So, you have a vlog that's talking about that. I mean, there's so much stuff you can do with vlogging. You can go in so many different directions. You can vlog, you can have foreign language virtual pen pals. Same thing with vlogging, where, you're being conversational and asking 5 questions. And then, let's say you're working with a group in Murcia, Spain, and, they create 5 questions in English and then send them back. I mean, that's the type of stuff that you can do with video. And that's something that really extends the walls of your classroom even further, because now you're reaching outside. This is something that, like, when I first got out of high school, I actually called teachwhatyoulearn.com because I was so drawn to the fact that we learn things better when we teach them. So there's an amount of research that goes have a better understanding of, how the changed, how, the state standards are different, because I did that research for your classroom. Let's say you're working on different types of surveys that are used in statistics, or let's say in Spanish we're talking about conjugating different verbs. Explain not only how to conjugate. In history, same thing. Who are the key players and why is this important? Why? What are the reasons for the Civil War starting? Or you can use different things that you are going over, and this is a way for them to recall that information and then teach somebody else about that. Another cool thing about that is you're kind of creating a small library of different content that you can then use in the future and add more, enrich your curriculum with those. Number 3, book reviews. So book reviews are a great way to check to see if your student actually read. So it kind of, read this chapter and record a, 1-minute video on what you thought about that you want, but then they have to turn in that video that night. So that kind of proves that they read it that night, and you're seeing all these things pop in instead of, the next day them, just going. I was that kid, by the way, that did not do a lot of reading at home, and I just kind of took the cliff notes. But also it gets, a if they enjoyed it or not, or if the point hit like you wanted them to hit. Um, you could also go through and, let's say you're doing chapters, an assignment could be, I want you to create a short video on what you think is going to happen next in this video. So those are a couple things for just kind of English language arts that you can use video for. For current events, so when I was in high school, every Friday we would go through and we would have just a quiz, like who was the Speaker of the House and what did they announce this week, and stuff like that. Whereas you could have your students create a short little newscast on what these things can be, as simple as just using and talking into it. They can be that kind of vlog style where you have your people vlog kind of the current events, and you have a student kind of put everything together. Or you can go into like green screen and go nuts with deep on level of production and expensive equipment and all this. Or you could just get like a couple little things that make your look better and sound better. Like this, for example, I just have a nice mic. It's a Rode mic and a Google presentation. So it's super simple for me to be able to do this webinar and create this, because when I'm done with this webinar, it's just going to become a YouTube video that's on our channel. So I'm doing this as a webinar, but it's becoming evergreen content for anybody that wants to come back and watch it. So again, this is a super simple setup and probably more akin to what you would be doing in the classroom. Steps that are in the chapter, and then after what they learn. So instead of you going home and doing homework, and then the next day them coming in and then they didn't get those homework questions correct and they're still kind of confused, but you're trying to move on. This kind of flips that upside down, and it puts kind of the preparation ahead of the assignment and kind of puts the ball back in the student's court. Number 6, you could do a campaign video or a persuasive speech. So any of the speeches that you might have done, like if you are a speech class, a proper speech class, any of those could be done with video. And actually, when I was in college, they actually recorded all of our speeches for us, so that way we could go back and kind of learn from our different, where we might have messed up or where we could improve on in the future. You could do the same thing for a campaign or persuasive speech. So let's say you could do a mock campaign video saying nothing but positive things, to create a campaign video on different issues that are important to them, whether that are issues that are actually on the ballot, like local issues, or just issues in general that they feel important or that they are drawn to. Maybe they want to change what time they have to be there in the morning, so they create a persuasive speech or a campaign video in order to change that time to be later in the day, or something along that line. So they can use that. Pretty much any speech that you've done in the past, you could do as a video, and you probably already are, to be honest. Interview school officials and the mayor. I really like interview style stuff because it forces you to break the ice and learn. It also forces you to think on your feet. And I think those are skills that are really, really important for students to be able to communicate to not only their, as communicating with their peers is very different than having those communications, or I'm sorry, communicating with people that are older than talk to, my peer and my colleague, than how I would talk to somebody who is the CEO of the company. And just being able to have, not being freaked out by it, but know how to break the ice, how to ask them questions. For students, the first kind of IT pushes that we had when I was a director. And the idea is that we're doing digital, and digital storytelling is just using video to tell that story. So if you want to reenact a chapter from a book that you're reading, if you want to, happens now, what happens to the kingdoms and things like that. I think that's video at the heart. All of the be it can also be known as, we're going to take this story and we're going to tell it in a digital fashion with video, with good audio, and we're going to share it, out there with the world. Or Number 9, recreate a moment in history. This one, I think, more research on around a topic and what was going on at that time. For example, here I have the Rosa Parks bus scene. What did it look like? And it also will give you, as the educator, as the teacher, a unique perspective into, you learned about it, and that with them from that story. Like Martin Luther King, the I Have a Dream speech, what did it look like at that time, at that day? Who was at that rally when he gave that speech? Things like that. Recreating that moment in history allows you to see where, what your students understood and what their key takeaways about that. So this is actually something that we did in high school when I was taking Spanish. We actually created a whole telenovela, and we did it at multiple people's houses, and it was actually a really, really fun project. But it forces, like, I was not the best at Spanish at the time, still not really great, but it forced me because I had a part in this. So I had to learn my lines. I had to communicate with the other people that were on set for our video. Telenovela is it's a throw a toss out there for my foreign language teachers, if there are any joining us today, because that's a really fun. And then to sit down, let's say you have 5 groups or 10 groups, and just a premiere of your telenovelas. So that is all I have. Continue this chat on Wednesday, where we can get into the meat and potatoes of how you actually create the videos. And I want to call out that around, hey, I want to do live streaming because I know we're going to be out for the next couple weeks, or it's something IT related. I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. So I'm going to minimize this right now just to see if there were any questions. So it might kind of do that weird thing where it like keeps going in. My phone number's on the screen.